The closed beta test for Tekken 8 was really fun, but there are some issues that I think can't be ignored and that we need to talk about. This isn't a full-fledged review or anything, obviously, because the game isn't out yet. But it's more so just my overall feelings and impressions after spending 3 days of non-stop playing the beta, because
I couldn't get enough of it.
Graphically, this game is a huge step up from Tekken 7. There are some people on the internet who you see crayons in the back of class that are like, oh, this looks just like Tekken 7. But no, it's a huge step up from how the graphics used to look in Tekken 7. I mean, do you guys remember how Tekken 7 actually looked when it launched? To put it in perspective, Tekken 7 came out in 2015, and this game is coming out in 2024. So if you look at the lighting, the way the characters have been given a nice facelift, the graphics, the actual terrain and stages that you'll be fighting on, it all looks very nice compared to Tekken 7. And it's clearly an improvement over Tekken 7. Characters, after you know they just got done getting their asses beat, will actually look like they just got done getting their asses beat. Even if you win, sometimes your characters will come out with black eyes, bloodied, bruised. And I really like that. I really think that's a good change. The last time I saw a big inclusion of that was like Mortal Kombat 9. Dead or Alive 5 last round did it. Soul Calibur 6 really had it to the point where you could beat somebody and their clothes come off. Like that one scene in Durara. Little changes too, like for instance, I think it happened in Tekken 7 where if Jin had his hood up, he would actually get it taken down and things of that nature. Same thing happens in Tekken 8, it just looks better. I was playing as Nina and she wears her sunglasses, goes into battle, and people can literally beat the glasses off of you. I thought that was really cool to see. Not a lot of games nowadays really take that level of detail, especially fighting games. Like I said before, this game is a huge graphical upgrade from Tekken 7, but if you're just only looking through YouTube videos, haven't played the game for yourself, and can only see through the eyes of a compressed video, just look at these one-to-one shots that Hi Buff Gigas Please posted to their YouTube channel. I'll leave a link down below, but they're one-to-one representations of the characters in Tekken 7 doing their poses in Tekken 8, and it really puts in perspective how far the graphics have come. Certain characters like Lily no longer look like aliens or emotionless, and I thought that was really cool. The music for this game is actually a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be, honestly speaking. The character selection screen is actually kind of nice. The stages all have different and intuitive soundtracks that really ramp up and really get you feeling into the rhythm. I went against one of my friends who was playing Jun, and I could really tell when he got into the zone when he was vibing out to the beat because he started beating the shit out of me. I'd say the soundtracks and music is definitely a step up from Street Fighter 6. My main problem with Street Fighter 6 was character select music that really sounds like kind of generic rap lyrics and really wasn't the best for me. If you like it, cool, it just really wasn't my thing. And some of the stages and character music could have been a lot better compared to Third Strike. Even 5's character selection screen was really good compared to how it is in 6. And just a few other tracks that we had. Maybe I'm just getting old. Next, we got the avatar customization. Now, if you guys remember the old Xbox Live avatars that you used to have and be able to make, it kind of reminds me of that style, but it's not the exact same. There's actually surprisingly a lot of customization tools that you actually get to make the right fit. Some people were doing cosplays of different characters in popular games like Kiryu, a Travis Touchdown one, and a few other characters like that. I really enjoy when the game lets you express yourself in multiple ways, and I really do think that that's really cool to be able to customize your avatar. Now, for all my fellow black people and people of color, you kind of know how this goes in terms of hairstyles. You got your token dread hairstyles, and then you have a few other things. But for the most part, in terms of hairstyles, there really isn't much for us. Though, thankfully, you can still make a really nice looking character of all different shapes and sizes and variances, which is actually really nice. So I really do appreciate that. It's a big step up from a system that wasn't even implemented in a past game, so I really do like it. Now, so far we've talked about how the game looks, the soundtracks, and the avatar customization, but how are the actual characters? What are the characters like? Azucena is a really nice, dope addition to the actual roster. She has a little bit of Josie in there, a little bit of Bruce, a little bit of Lucky Chloe, and a few other characters that people want back. For those who don't know, she's a coffee-loving barista from Peru who practices MMA. She's a very mix-up intensive character who thrives off of 50-50s and making you guess. She also has some really nasty stance cancels and even an unblockable taunt, which I found out through Twitter clips that the taunt can actually launch you. Yes, if she's in heat, the taunt can actually launch you and she gets a full combo conversion off of that. I think that's pretty gnarly. Azucena is very fun, and I really think she's a great addition to the game, but it really makes me wonder what it's going to be like when new characters hop into the fray and how wacky they're going to be. Like, I wish at launch we would be receiving a lot more newer characters instead of a lot of the older legacy characters, and don't get me wrong, I'm not mad at them including other characters from the past games. It's a really huge roster and I like that. I just wish that we would have had some more new faces because it would help give the game a nice, fresh feel to it. And that's not to say that these returning characters are the exact same. Oh, no, no, no. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Jack has this crazy force field bullshit that he can do now, which is actually really fun to watch, but horrible to deal with if you don't know what you're doing. I actually had the trouble being on the receiving end of that. Nina has guns. You pull up on her, you're getting shot. Jin's stance cancels are gone for the most part, it seems, but it seems like he has some Devil Gene combos added into the mix. Kazuya is just the devil. Leroy's Pimp Cane is back and deadlier than ever. Law has his nunchucks. And Jun just straight up has the powers of a Disney princess. It's actually insane to watch and fight. I really like the new characters' designs and the fact that they included a lot of their old designs from past games in this one. I really do enjoy that. I really do think it was the right move for adding a fresh coat of paint on old faces and just giving them a variety in their old moves and things of that nature, and switching up stuff to the point where you can still enjoy the character while experiencing new things with that character. It's a little disorienting to get used to because certain things that used to combo no longer do, certain things that used to cause screws no longer do, and certain moves that used to be a thing either aren't, or they had their inputs changed and they're either made simpler or they just straight up aren't as good as they used to be. Korean backdashing, for example, has been changed a little bit. I can't tell if it's good or worse. I could never Korean backdash, so the changes to the backdashing to make it simpler is a great change for me, but I know a lot of people who are at the upper echelon and could actually Korean backdash consistently are kind of on the fence about this one. A lot of them are upset. I know some people don't mind because it gets new players into the game. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention about stages before I forget, the transitions for them look really dope. It's really nice punching somebody through a wall and really feeling that weight, like that oomph as you see them collapse through a cave or bounce up in the air and ragdoll. It's really nice to look at. Not to mention they brought third round transitions back, so I thought that was really cool, where the stage changes up and feels a little bit more dynamic and really adds stakes to your fight, and I thought that was really cool. Another thing that they brought back that I thought was really cool are the different intros between fighters. Like, of course, you have your classics, Paul, Law, Jin, Kazuya, Lars and Jin, and just different interactions between people. Helps the world feel a little bit more alive, helps the fights feel a little more engaging, adds those kind of stakes to them. So I could definitely see in tournament, or if those lore matches happen, it would add a little bit extra hype to it. I always thought that kind of thing, those kind of touches are really cool. I'm a big stickler for like lore and detail in video games, so the nerd in me gets happy when I see stuff like that, interactions like that in fighting games. Moving on though, I wanted to also talk about the lounge. The lounge looks gorgeous, honestly, with how the lighting looks and the amount of people in there, just the feeling of coming into an arcade and being able to match against people and seeing the big giant display of the game on the screen. I hope we get to see tournaments on that screen. That would be really sick. It reminds me of Street Fighter 6's Battle Hub. Reminds me of the lobby system in Guilty Gear Strive as well, but actually good and functioning. And the fact that you don't have to just walk up an arcade machines to be able to play somebody, you can actually matchmake from anywhere inside the arcade. You can go up to people and play their ghosts straight up, and that's really cool. I thought those were really nice touches and really cool additions. Just like in Street Fighter 6's Battle Hub, you can actually sit down on arcade machines and practice and matchmake from there, but if anybody sits down in front of you, they can actually play you as well, and I thought that's really nice. I think it's a dope touch just being able to see everybody congregate around the machines, because either they want to watch the people playing or they want to play them too, and just watching people hop in, kind of like similar to how the My Park system worked in 2K, was kind of nice. There's also a Tekken Dojo section where you'll be able to practice matchmaking with your friends and fighting against them. There's a store where you can get more drip for your avatar and customize your avatar there. Also, another thing from the system I forgot to bring up is you can copy different avatars onto different slots like you would with your characters in Tekken 7. So if you wanted to just take a preset you made and customize it and have different outfits for that one character, it makes it really easy to do that. That was a really nice change. There will be a section for Tekken Ball, though that wasn't up in the beta, so I wasn't able to try it, but it is there. They also make it really easy to find your friends in the battle lounge, so if you just want to go directly to a battle lounge that your friend is in, you can go through your list of friends, figure out which lounge they're in, and just join directly on them. That's a really nice quality of life feature. Almost forgot to mention how brutal the hits are. When you're caving someone's chest in, it really feels like and sounds like you're caving someone's chest in. Honestly, it makes me reminiscent of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure design or the design from Fire Force. Really nice effects. Really sounds amazing. Whoever designed the effects for those needs a raise, because the sound effects in this game are good. When I punch somebody in the jaw, I feel like I'm dislocating it. Anyway, interestingly enough, I think the rage art damage has been nerfed. They're not quite as powerful as they used to be, meaning that you won't be deleting someone's health bar unless they're below a really low percentage, and they scale really heavily in this version. When I was doing rage arts and playing certain people I know would have killed back in Tekken 7, but instead they survived in 8, it kind of threw me off a bit, but I'm not mad at the change. I think rage arts, I'm more than sure the whole crowd that thought rage arts was super cheesy and unnecessary to the game will be happy with that change, because they don't deal as much damage anymore. There are a lot of people saying that this game just looks like Tekken 7.5 from a gameplay perspective, and I can understand that. There are a lot of legacy mechanics and skills and moves that carry over from the last Tekken to this one. And I think the heat system was a necessary addition to make this game feel different than the last Tekken, because without it, it really would just feel like Tekken 7.5. When there's no heat on either side, it kind of feels like we go back to the fundamentals of Tekken, because at its core, this game is still Tekken. Another point of contention between people in the community with this game is the simplified execution and modernizing of it. Certain combos and moves and throw breaks have gotten a lot easier to do, which means a lot of characters got easier to play. The execution barrier for a lot of things is still there, but it's definitely been lowered from 7 to 8. For me personally, it felt a lot easier to chain throw in this game. The windows for inputs didn't feel as bad. I like that they didn't charge us for the frame data this time, and they actually, when you look at the move list for certain throws, it actually shows you the escape on top of the throw as well, so that's really nice. Now you don't have to spend an additional 16 hours in the lab practicing throw breaks on a character you may not run into all that often. Fighting someone's ghost is a new and interesting addition to the game, and I think it's a really dope concept, though in practice it's not perfect, because the AI can properly mimic some of your moves where it's at right now, but over time we'll only have to see how it evolves and how the AI learns, because right now it's not where it needs to be. Of course, it's just a beta, and when the full release comes in, there's only room for improvement, so I don't know. It's just gonna have to be a wait and see thing to see how effective the ghost battling would be. But imagine how disrespectful it'd be. You pull up on one of your friends, you're like, hey, you wanna run a set? And he's like, nah, you gotta beat my ghost first and prove yourself worthy. That'd be a level of disrespect that's unmatched right now. I love the concept of it, because imagine if you wanted some more matchup knowledge against different characters, like if you wanted to play Knee, for example, and how many characters that man can play, or Arslan, or any of the pros in the scene, and you just really want to see what this character looks like at a top level, but don't really have anyone in your immediate skill level to play like that. It'd be nice to be able to just pull up somebody's ID, copy that, fight them, and then get better in the matchup and learn that. That would really give you a really effective way of learning these matchups, if it works properly. And sometimes with pro players' habits. Another thing I wanted to say was the matchmaking was very quick. It didn't really take long to find matches or find people to fight. That was really cool. That, unfortunately, is the last positive thing I have to say about the matchmaking for the most part, because the netcode is awful. I'm sad to say Tekken 7's netcode so far is a step above Tekken 8's, at least in a beta. Because man, some of those matches feels like you're moving through mud and you can't really play or do your inputs effectively, especially if you're going against a Wi-Fi warrior who's purposely playing on a bad connection and trying to get wins and go up the rank ladder. They know who they are. But even then, on a Ethernet connection, I was still noticing crazy amounts of lag, crazy amounts of disconnects, and crazy amounts of performance issues when the game says me and the other person both have a 5-bar connection with each other. And I've had the opportunity to play some of my friends, and sometimes the connection would be like that between the both of us, even though I know we're not even 2 states from each other, and we're both hardwired, and it's just, it feels awful. It feels god awful. It leads to some matches being extremely unplayable. I don't know if anybody else's experiences were like this, because the first day the netcode was perfect. The first day the netcode was wonderful. Everything worked flawlessly, everything worked as it should. Second day it got a little shaky and got a little weird. That third day it's like they ran out of money for the Wi-Fi bill, because man, everything just stopped. Everything stopped working. Everything became a 50-50 toss-up whether or not it was going to be a good match or a horribly laggy match. Or sometimes you'd be having a great match and then all of a sudden it's like somebody started lag switching because the servers just couldn't handle it. Everything started going slower. The Wi-Fi or the connection started slowing down, becoming worse and worse, and it was just really weird to experience. Though when they did work, I was surprisingly able to play some people from Europe and even from the Middle East and get stable connections, so it was very weird, because sometimes I would play people in the US and get awful connections that were super laggy. I don't know what the explanation is for this. One of the things I do like that they added with matchmaking is now you can see a person's PC performance if you're playing crossplay, because yes, this game is crossplay. So you can see if a person's PC can handle the game or if it can't handle the game, but the sad part is if it can't handle the game, you can clearly see that it can't, and that the game will lag as if it's just a super laggy connection. The rollback wasn't really working well, because the things that are being rolled back just really weren't being rolled back, if that makes sense. It wasn't really rolling anything back. It just felt like it was super laggy and just added on hella input delay to the already added input delay. Another thing too is that the game's engine itself specifically. The game says it's kicking at a good, nice, crisp, solid 60 FPS, which is standard for fighting games. But sometimes it would fall down to 49 to 45 FPS even. And it wasn't just a lag, like that was the actual game engine itself. And it'll still say it's 60, but it's not rocking at 60, it's rocking at 49. And normally most people are like, oh, what's the issue? 49, 45, that's still playable. Don't get me wrong, normally it is, but when you go from 60 to 49, if you're in the middle of a combo or you're playing a game that requires micro-fast reflexes, it could cost you a match. It's cost me a couple matches. It honestly feels like a step back with the online and with the netcode currently, because Tekken 7's netcode right now is better than Tekken 8's netcode, which is a shame to say. I hope they fix it by the time the game drops, but more than likely there might still be some issues in there similar to this. Basically, when the netcode was working, really fun, really dope, really smooth, but when it wasn't working, and most of the time it wasn't, awful. One of the worst netcode and online net play experiences I've ever had in any fighting game. Speaking of laggy, the lounge, when there's a lot of people there and it starts getting crowded, oh my god, your frames will drop faster than your stomach when you're reading a "we need to talk" text. And just the load time's a little crazy too when you're first coming into the lounge. Sometimes when you're running up to a machine and you're like, oh, this arcade's free, so you want to play with your friends or get into a cabinet just for 50 million people to load in all at the same time. That's more of a nitpick though, because, you know, the game just needs to take time to load. Spectating's broken. Spectating is just sometimes outright would not work. Sometimes you'll be spectating the match, then the game takes you out, and then they start playing another match, and all of a sudden you're not spectating anymore. Sometimes you'll be spectating before they start the match, and guess what? You don't get to see it. You'll constantly be in a will you or won't you get to spectate state, and just wondering if it works or not. So I'm just gonna say it straight up right now. As of this moment, at least in the beta, spectating is broken. Though that's definitely something that could be fixed before the game comes out. I'm sorry if this sounds more like a review instead of a first impressions. I just like to be a little more in depth. I like to give people my thoughts in a more so clear and concise way. And I don't like leaving a lot of potential questions unanswered. I like to give people the full thoughts, the full thing, the full depth and detail about what the beta offers, what the gameplay is like, what the netcode was like, what the characters and experience truly is from someone who played it for 3 days straight. To be honest, I would not have played it for 3 days straight if I didn't like it. I really enjoy it. I'm super excited for the game to drop. When it works, it works. It's really fun. It's really engaging. It's really interesting. I do think the new changes and added heat system is a breath of fresh air for people who are both old to the Tekken series and newcomers coming in. At a glance, it looks just like Tekken 7 if you aren't paying attention or haven't touched the game for yourself, but truly I do think there are some innovations and new things added that are going to give this game the facelift it needs and deserves. But if the network issues are not addressed and the frame rate issues remain the same, that's really going to dampen on a lot of the fun that people could be having with this game and really give a lot of people issues. Nowadays, with so many games coming out with so many different alternatives, it's really going to harper on the game's success if they don't fix this, because we have so many other options. We do have Street Fighter, we do have Mortal Kombat, we do have a lot of the indie games that are still out. We still have King of Fighters, we still have... But long story short, when this game comes out, I need it! Sorry for the super long video. I tend to go a little bit over the top and ramble a bit much when I'm making these types of videos. But if you do enjoy this type of video and want to see more of it from the channel, I do have a modern versus classic discussion video I made a while ago for Street Fighter 6, and I think it went pretty well. So if you want to support me, the channel, it would really help out a lot if you could like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and then maybe even check out that one. That all being said, hope you guys have a wonderful day and or night. You're all wonderful people.